Do you understand that to make $100,000, you basically need to generate about $300 every single day? The fact that we just made 10K in a week means that if we keep that up, we'll already be double what we made per month. So after you've analyzed everything and you see the holes and you're fixing the holes, now as you're fixing the holes, let's do something to actually generate some sales. What is up? I am Chanel Q, the brand hustler, and welcome back to another episode of the Hustle Talks podcast. This is episode 3, and I am so proud of myself because your girl is tired, okay? Not necessarily tired from the podcast because we are still in the beginning stages. We are still in the baby phases. We actually have a combined total of maybe 1,200 plays, which is really cool. But I am tired because this past weekend was not only a Mother's Day celebration, but it was also my grandfather's funeral. And I'm tired, okay? While you have family in town that you haven't seen in quite a bit of time, it's so important to spend time with them. And as a result of that, you end up sacrificing sleep. So I literally flew back home this morning, and I'm recording this podcast the same day it's going out, which is not the goal, but here we are. So if you are watching the video version of this podcast and you notice I don't have on makeup and I might have some bags on my eyes, mind your business and just listen to the value of it, okay? Because today's episode is going to be so good. As I was in Miami and I was thinking about what I wanted the next episode to be, I realized that I kind of sort of have been building out the 3 pillars, if you will, of the Hustle Talks podcast without really even knowing it, right? So in the very first episode, which is really good, you definitely need to watch it if you haven't watched it already. In the first episode, I talked about how Hustle Talks existed in the past, not necessarily as a podcast, but as a live series. And I talked about how Hustle Talks' main focus is to show not only just the good of entrepreneurship, but also the bad and the ugly of entrepreneurship. And what I hadn't realized is that the first episode did a great job of showing the ugly. The second episode did a great job of showing the bad. And this episode, I'm about to show you the good. If you don't know what I mean when I say good, bad, and ugly, let me just break it down a little bit. Pretty much when I say the bad of entrepreneurship, that is the stuff that, people can make a mistake on their entrepreneurship journey, but it could be fixed with maybe some tips or a few steps. Whereas the ugly side of entrepreneurship is the stuff that people don't really want to talk about, such as grief. The first episode was all about grieving my loved ones and how that plays an effect, and also how that impacts how and who I am as an entrepreneur. Then we went into the bad with episode 2 because we talked about how the lack of persistence can honestly take you down the bad path when it comes to entrepreneurship, and how you need to build persistence in order to have longevity as an entrepreneur. We had the ugly, we had the bad, and I was thinking, why not shed some light on the good? So in today's episode, I am going to be breaking down a quote unquote good aspect of entrepreneurship, because I am going to be talking to you about how you can get some money, okay? More specifically, I am going to talk to you about how you can supercharge your sales and honestly turn your business around. So if you have been stuck at a certain amount of sales, maybe you're experiencing a drought right now and you typically get more sales coming in, but you've recently experienced a dip, it's really dry, it's the Sahara Desert right now for you, then I'm about to put you up on game, because today we are talking about all the good things, and I am going to go in detail and I'm going to be transparent because I am going to be sharing what I am currently doing and what I've recently done as well. So it's not just me throwing tips at you that I haven't done. It's not just me telling you what to do and haven't been doing it. Like, no, this is actually what I'm doing in real time and what I've actually did very, very recently and have already started to see the results of it. So I started off 2024 with a huge goal of hitting $1 million in revenue in my main business. In order to hit $1 million, if you do quick math, you basically need to be generating $250,000 each quarter on average. Now, I believe there are different methods to setting goals, and I don't think that every quarter necessarily is always going to be equal, because you can either set a goal where you ramp up, meaning that your quarters and the quarterly amount that you aim to achieve, you start at a lower amount and then you scale up to a higher amount as the quarters go on throughout the year. There's also a method that I like to call the predictive method, which basically means if you've been in business for a while, you should have an extraordinary amount of data that you can rely on to predict certain trends, with one of those trends being what your highest and lowest quarters will be and why those were your highest and lowest quarters, and as a result building your full year out to reflect that, right? I just realized what I just said might actually be a gem to you already. So I hope that you're taking notes. Okay. So if you're not taking notes already and you are already like, whoa, I never thought about that in that way. I never actually broken my goals down in quarterly goals for real, or I've never thought that there were different methods to actually doing this. Definitely make sure that you pause this, grab your notebook, rewind, write that down, and keep your notebook open, because if that was helpful, what I'm about to share is going to be super helpful. So our business was using the predictive method, right? Because we are now 5 years in business. And so we kind of knew based off of the previous years what was going to happen. But obviously, previous years, our goal wasn't to hit $1 million. Our first goal was to hit, I think, 45,000. The second goal was to hit 100,000. The third goal, I can't remember what it was. I want to say it was 200,000, but we surpassed it. We surpassed all of our goals from years 1 through 3. Year 4 was the first year where we were right underneath breaking, like hitting our goal. So anyway, the point of the matter is we had this aggressive goal and we were using the predictive method for our quarters. So we set a quarter 1 goal. However, at the end of quarter 1, when we were doing some reflection, we realized that we hadn't hit that goal. We honestly were less than half of the goal away. So I made about $70,000 in quarter 1, which sounds like a whole lot of money to you if you haven't made that amount yet. So in no way am I saying, oh, I made $70,000, or I should say we made, because I have a team. In no way am I saying we made $70,000 and I'm making it seem like it's nothing and being braggadocious about it. Absolutely not. But when we compare it to what our goal and our target actually was, especially when we compare it to what we've done in the past, that was not good. That was actually really bad, right? Because in the past, we've had $30,000, $40,000 months. And if you do quick math, that puts you at about $90,000 to $120,000 a quarter. So that was not good. So when I did this reflection and I noticed that, I was like, we got to turn this around. We have to turn this around, because if we're going to get anything close to $1 million at this point, we need to do something. And although it's great that, in current days, we are still able to generate revenue and all the things, it's more important to me that we actually meet our goals. So with that being said, I made a strategic plan for us to then ramp up to hit our goals by the end of the year. In that strategic plan, we made a May and June goal. And the reason we did that was because we threw April away, because April, if you watched the first episode, was a whole lot of grief. And so we threw April away and we are making our quarter 2 goal solely based off of May and June. And so for quarter 2, we have the goal of generating $70,000 or reaching really high and aiming for $100,000. So what we made in 3 months, we want to make in 2, or we want to make more, to put it into perspective. So when we sat down and we did that, I decided that we needed to change some things, because in order for us to hit these goals, we cannot continue to do what we did in quarter 1. That is the definition of insanity. So if you are waking up and you're thinking that you are going to do the same thing every single day, you're going to put forth the same low effort, or you're going to test out the same strategy that hasn't been working and you haven't been tweaking anything to see if it actually works, or you're throwing spaghetti at the wall, or you're not even looking at your data and looking at what worked or didn't work, wake up, because you cannot continue to do that. You are literally going to drive yourself insane, and you're never going to see results in your business if you continue to do that. So I decided to make the strategic action plan, and I kid you not, my team and I met the very last Monday of April. It is now almost the second week of May. It is the 13th of May. I just dated the podcast, but whatever. It is now 2 weeks into May, and we literally have started to check off the box on many of our goals. More specifically, we actually ended up making 10K in 1 week. So to put that into perspective, right? In Q1, we made an average of about $20,000 per month, because I rounded to 70,000. It was really like 65 or something. So we made about $20,000 per month. So the fact that we just made 10K in a week means that if we keep that up, we'll already be double what we made per month in quarter 2 versus quarter 1. Okay. And so to see that, and to see that we haven't even started to apply everything in this strategic action plan, it shows that once we really, really ramp up and hit the ground running, that we are we are going to hit our goals for sure. And we probably may even surpass our goals. So I wanted to share that with you because I am taking that same approach and applying it to HBU. So HBU is my product-based business. It is a university for new and struggling entrepreneurs to get the resources that they need. We have a mixture of physical and digital products. Although we just launched in February and we launched with a digital collection first, we do have physical products that we just haven't released yet, because we're behind, right? So pretty much this year has came and it is going, okay? If you feel like that, let me know in the comments. It literally was just January 1st, 2 days ago. And now we're in May, not to mention that April was a doozy. And so I'm over here like, what the heck is going on, right? Trying to play catch up. And so it's very important that when you are getting back to the basics, that you reflect on what the main target was when you sat down and did your yearly plan. If you did one, I hope you did. And if you didn't, you did. Do one, okay? But it's really important that you reflect on what that was and you really get back on track. So I have fell off track with both HBU and the Brand Hustler LLC. And so to see that it's already working so well for the Brand Hustler LLC and that we are already on track to hit our quarter 2 goals after only applying this strategy for a week and some change, I am going to do the same thing with HBU for my product-based business. And that is why I wanted to share what I was doing with you, because I think it's super helpful to share information, yes, once you've done it, but then also while you're doing it. That's the difference between this podcast and maybe other podcasts that you listen to, is that I am going to share what I'm doing in real time, but I'm also going to share things that I know that work. I know it works because I've already tested it with one business, and now I'm going to share it with you as I'm going to test it with my product-based business. So if you need a strategy to supercharge your sales, if you need a strategy to turn your business around, it doesn't matter if you have physical products or digital products, this is going to be for you, okay? Because I'm doing it in real time and I want to help you. So I want to share with you a couple of steps that I took to supercharge my business and a couple of steps that I am going to take to supercharge my second business because I want you to win too. So let's get into it. The first and very first thing that you must do if you are experiencing a season of drought, if you are experiencing a dip in sales, a dip in just anything overall in your business, it's important for you to stop and reflect on what the heck is going on. So look at the data, analyze what's working well for us right now, what's not working well for us right now, what are we doing, what aren't we doing, what were we supposed to do, what have we done? These are all questions that you want to ask yourself. I find that a lot of entrepreneurs, we don't look at our data. And you either don't look at your data because one, you don't know how and you don't care, or two, you know how, but you're a little bit scared because you know that you haven't performed the way that you were supposed to. And I honestly used to have some of that fear as well, like some of that, I guess, stage fright in a way, because I don't want to look at it because I'll beat myself up. But in reality, the only way that you can get better is if you actually know how you did. There's no way to improve a skill if you don't assess the skill. You see what I'm saying? There's a reason why there's points to every sport game. If we didn't have a point system, we would have no way of measuring one, who won, or two, which team members actually performed correctly, right? We measure everything when it comes to sports. It's not just who made the ball in the hoop or who made the ball past the line. Like, they literally measure distance that you run. They literally measure, rebounds that you've gotten. They measure all these little things because that shows you how you've performed. That way you can see, okay, what have I done correctly? What could I improve on? What have I not done correctly at all that I need to go back to the drawing board and analyze? And so when it comes to analyzing, I want you to analyze 3 specific areas in your business. And these 3 areas are: 1, your brand and marketing. I like to call them departments. So my company is split up into departments. I have the brand and marketing department. And what you want to do when you analyze this brand and marketing department is you don't want to just look at the visuals. People tend to complicate things, or not complicate things, but confuse things when it comes to branding. Branding is not just about visuals. Branding is definitely the heartbeat of your business. Without a strong brand, baby, ain't nothing going to work for you. Okay, so when I say analyze your brand and marketing, yes, analyze your visuals, but also analyze your copy. So, copy is the way that you write certain things in your emails, on your website. You also want to analyze your content. Depending on what platform you show up on and what forms of content you create, you want to analyze those things to see, what are you putting out there? What's the response to it? How can you make it better? All the things. You then also want to analyze your brand experience. Your brand experience is super important. It's basically your customer journey, but it's more about how your brand actually makes people feel during the different stages of their customer journey. So a customer journey pretty much is the journey from somebody finding out about your brand all the way through making a purchase and then moving forward to building loyalty and hopefully returning or referring your brand to somebody else. That's your customer journey. Your brand's experience is how you make them feel throughout that entire journey. So if you Google customer journey right now, you may find some examples that have like smiley faces, frown faces, straight faces, all the things. Well, guess what? What makes the consumer smile, frown, or have a straight face is the touch points with your brand and how your brand acts within those times when you do have a touch point with that particular consumer. That's your brand experience. And if you have no idea what that is, baby, you got so much to learn. And unfortunately, this podcast episode is not going to go in super detail about it, but you definitely want to make sure that you build your brand experience out, okay? And outline your customer journey. Now, the second department that you want to analyze is the operations department. Whew. When I analyzed my operations, I noticed that so many things were wrong. And I have so many stories that I want to share as we unfold this podcast. But some of my stories are going to be shared only within my membership community because I just don't want some things on the internet. So, if you do decide to join the waitlist for my new mentorship membership community, stay tuned because we are going to talk all about the lessons that I've learned for operations, how I operate my business, how you can operate your business to build a multi six-figure, seven-figure company, okay? Because my company has generated over $1 million since we've been founded. I don't call myself a millionaire because I haven't hit $1 million in one calendar year yet. And so once I do that, I'll call myself a millionaire. But technically, if we're going by Instagram terms, I'm one already, okay? But so if you want to learn from me, and to not only learn about brand strategy and brand tips, but also just to learn how to be a good entrepreneur, how to actually build a CEO brand. So a personal brand that sells things within your business, how to create content on both the personal and business side of things. All of those things are going to be with inside of my mentorship membership club. And that's why I call it a mentorship membership. Because it's really like getting mentored by me. It really is. There's things that I am going to share that I have never shared on the internet before. I've either only shared them with one-on-one clients when I met them in person, but I'm going to share them because I want to start mentoring entrepreneurs who are either new to entrepreneurship, or maybe you're not new to entrepreneurship, but you know that you deserve to level up and you're not at the level that you want to be at. So if you're interested in my mentorship membership community, check out the link in the description box or the link in the description of this episode if you're listening to it on Spotify or Apple. And click that link and join the wait list so that way you are notified when we actually open that up. I am so excited for it. So, operations, I could go down a rabbit hole, but I want you to analyze your operations for effectiveness, efficiency, for finances, and also to see where you're spending your time. If I had to say the top 4 things: effectiveness, efficiency, finances, and where you're spending your time. Effectiveness, because you want to see if how you run your business is the most effective way. Is there a better way that you could be running your business? Is there a better system that you could be using that's way more effective? Yes, it may cost an additional $5 a month, but it does twice as much as the system that you're using now. Are you being the most effective? When it comes to efficiency, are you the most efficient with your time? Or if you already have team members, a VA, whoever, what is their efficiency level? Are they completing things on time? Is everything always running past due? For us, we were always running past due, like as of this year, right? We were always running past due, and I had to stop and think about like, what the heck is happening? Because this wasn't happening before, right? And so reflecting on that allowed me to see what was going on so that I can actually fix it. Efficiency. Then you want to look at finances. Are you utilizing your money the best way possible? Or do you have random subscriptions that are getting pulled out left and right that you don't need anymore, but you forgot that, hey, I was supposed to cancel that trial of that service because this software actually was better? Or maybe it's finances for somebody that you're paying and you're looking at it and you're like, wait, the return on investment of this person isn't really hitting because I keep spending X amount and I'm not even making X amount back, right? Analyzing that. And then also analyzing your time as a CEO. Because as a CEO, it's important for you to operate in certain tasks, right? You should be doing the tasks that move your business forward and generate revenue versus doing the everyday nitpicky tasks that are really like just sucking away at your time, but it doesn't really produce any result. Like, yes, it may help you clean up the back end, but at the end of the day, cleaning up the back end isn't doing nothing for attracting new customers to your business. Do you see what I'm saying? So there's certain CEO tasks that you should be focusing on. And you may not be at the point where you can hire a team, but when you see where your time is being spent, if you are spending 90% of your time doing these admin level tasks and only 10% of your time doing CEO tasks, then that means, hey, we need to fix some things. We either need to restructure our week so that we can spend more time doing our CEO tasks, or we need to actually hire a VA, find somebody that's within our budget, make a really good job description so we can find somebody that matches really well with our brand and can uphold all the systems and things that we built within our business. And then, boom, now I can get some of my time back, right? So think about that. The third department that you want to analyze is the client success department. So for this one, you want to look at your customer journey again. For brand and marketing, you're looking at your customer journey more specifically on the front end before they make a purchase. So you're looking at the brand experience and customer journey from the time they meet with your brand for the first time all the way up until they convert and make a purchase. Whereas your client success is going to take them from the moment they make a purchase all the way through building loyalty with them, because your client success department is all about making sure that you're delivering on whatever promise you had for your consumer. So if you said that your product was going to last a month, following up to make sure that it lasts a month. If you said that I don't know, your product was going to help grow their hair, following up so that they can submit their hair growth, or even following up with tips so that they can, develop a full hair growth routine to go along with your products to help maximize the results that they will get. Or if it's a digital product and your digital product is supposed to help them organize their finances and maybe increase their credit score, nurturing them and seeing where they're at in their credit journey and how you can add bits and pieces of valuable information after they've already purchased to actually get them closer to their goal, or even nurturing them into what the next product is that they should be buying from you. Okay? So those are the three departments that you want to make sure that you analyze and figure out what's going right, what's going wrong, and how do we move on from here. When I did this for my main business, it clarified so much for me. There was so much going on, some of which we weren't necessarily doing things wrong. We just weren't doing them at all. We have the code, we know what works, but because of certain things that were happening in certain departments, we weren't performing as we should be. Even at this level, yes, I may have the right strategy, but if the right strategy isn't being executed the right way, then it makes no sense, right? It just doesn't work. And so for HBU, I realized that I had took this big old pause. So HBU, when we launched in February, we made $1,000 in less than 3 hours. And then we continued to generate anywhere between $300 and $500 every single day up until about like the second week of March. And then we stopped posting, we stopped sending emails, we stopped advertising, and everything kind of said, skirt, came to a stop, right? So now looking at that, I have to ask myself, what the heck made us stop? I know that us showing up on social and also via email was working. And when we ran ads to recoup people that we had lost, that was working. So why the heck did we stop? Okay, boom. When I analyze the brand and marketing department, I know what works. I know what we should have been doing. I know what we did do within a certain period of time. I know what we stopped doing after a certain period of time. Okay, so that gives me the play on what I need to do after. I then connected it to operations and how we were operating and how we didn't have certain things batched and ready to go. So it was causing stress because we had to basically create posts same day all of the time, create emails same day all of the time. We had old automations that were set up prior to launching, and some of them were still on. So we were actually guiding people down a wrong email path, right? It's crazy, but these little things happen, and these little things can be a big problem within your business. And if I hadn't realized and taken a step back to actually analyze them, I would have never paid attention to that, right? I would have never noticed that. And so that's the things that I noticed within HBU. I know that HBU can make six figures this year. It was on the path to do that already. Do you understand that to make $100,000, you basically need to generate about $300 every single day? The number is actually like 283 and some change, but I like to say 300. So you just need to generate $300 every single day. And we were generating $300 to $500 every single day. What? So sometimes it's not that you aren't making strides in your business because you don't have the play. Sometimes it's because you have the play, but you don't know how to maintain the play, or you don't know how to tweak the play, or you don't know how to bundle up the right energy and mindset with the play to make it actually efficient for a very long time. And that right there is the benefit to having somebody who is going to push you and remind you, having people around you who are going to push you and remind you. And if I honestly reflect on just the past 2 months and everything that has been happening, I put myself in a hole because of what was happening. And as a result, that affected me, right? And that affected how I performed. I know what happens when I surround myself with like-minded people. I know what happens when I tap into my mentors and into my coaches. I always outperform whatever it is that I say I'm going to do. And so if this has been helpful for you so far, and I haven't even gotten into the other steps yet, you should think about joining the waitlist for Bomb CEO. I'm just saying, okay? I'm just saying. Right? And if you're watching this and you haven't launched yet, still take notes because this can help you out. It will help you out, honestly, once you have actually launched. But if you are still stuck on how to launch and things like that, HBU's first collection was all about launching. It was all about launching. Honestly, my favorite tool in there is the Ultimate Launch Guide and the Six-Figure Launch Planner. So definitely grab those two. I'll leave the link to HBU in the description box as well. So if you haven't launched yet and you want some of those tools, definitely check it out, because I understand that watching this can go over your head and you're like, okay, I'm gonna write this stuff down, but I don't know what you're talking about. Definitely start there if you're stuck in the launch phase. So after you've analyzed what went wrong, what went right, all the things, the second thing that I suggest doing, now this is not the strategy all the time, this is what I am doing. What I am going to do for my product-based business is I am going to establish what's called a loss leader. Pretty much it's when you have a product that you will take a loss on in order to gain a bunch of leads and a bunch of information on consumers. So what that means is I could position something to be $1 and I use that as my item to attract consumers. But then once I attract them, I can nurture them to buy something else. And then I make my money back, right? Then I actually make a profit. So think about what's one of your products that you can actually create that's a loss leader. I'll give you an example, or I'll give you two. Physical products. Let's say you have a jewelry business and you can make rings really cheap, or you can buy rings from a vendor really cheap. How about you take a ring and you offer that for $3, $5, whatever the case may be, just a really low price point compared to your average price. And then you use that, run some ads on it, or even just make sure you push that through your content on all of the platforms that you use for your brand. And then you will attract people because people love a good deal. And then once they come, boom, you can convince them to buy something else. But the trick is to make sure that whatever you're putting out is still on brand and it's still reaching your specific audience, because you don't want a bunch of people who are just hungry for that cheap item. If you have a digital product, you can do this with something that's like a checklist or something that's like a quick guide, because you may want your full 100-page book to be the full price, which is perfectly understandable. So if you have like a 2-page checklist that normally, you either sell for less than $10 or something, you can make it even cheaper. Make it $1, make it $1.99, and sell it for that amount, and you'll see how many people actually gravitate towards your business. And then after you do that, the third thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to set up upsells. So there's a couple of apps that you can use if you have Shopify, where you can upsell to other products that are related to the product that's your loss leader. I mean, related to any product really, but I am going to do related products to the loss leader, because the idea is once they see the ad and they come to the website and they're about to add the product to their cart, that's a really, really good price, really, really low price, that then they'll see, hey, you can get this too, or this pairs perfectly with that. And, not all of them will add it, but some of them will add it. And then for the people who don't add it, they may buy something in the future, because guess what? After I do that, the fourth thing that I'm going to do is have an automated email and SMS sequence go to them to nurture them. So it's going to teach them more about my products, it's going to share more about my brand, and it's going to nurture them to actually want to purchase that next item. So now I've attracted somebody with, let's say, a $5 product, and they end up spending $100 with me. Do you know what that is? That's 20 times the $5 initial investment. And let's say that, okay, the product that I priced at $5 was originally $20. I took a $15 loss to actually generate a $95 profit, because 100 minus the $5 would be $100. I mean, it would be $95, right? So that's what I am going to do. And I think, and I honestly not think, I know that this is going to work, because we've done something similar in the past, but I'm just excited because this time I am going to do it on another level. And I really just gave you the game. I really just gave you the cheat code, right? With step 1 alone, analyzing everything, that could give you the answers that you need right there. But then I'm telling you what to do after you've analyzed it, right? So after you've analyzed everything and you see the holes and you're fixing the holes, now as you're fixing the holes, let's do something to actually generate some sales. And that is where the loss leader strategy comes in, finding a loss leader product, then upselling them, and then nurturing them via email and text message comes in. So that's how I'm going to supercharge my business. That is something that I know is going to work, and that is going to get us back and maybe even past $300 to $500 days, which is amazing, especially for our first year, like in business. It's also a similar strategy that I've used somewhat for my main business. My main business isn't product based, but we've taken these steps, not necessarily the loss leader strategy, but we took the analyzation step to figure out a strategy to then make a comeback. And we made 10K in 1 week. And we actually have continued to make money. I think today's Monday, on Friday, maybe we made a little over 1,500 or something. So, this stuff works, right? You need to be paying attention to what goes on. And most importantly, you need to make sure that whatever goal you set and whatever direction it is that you set for your brand, that you are staying true to that. So that's something that I didn't get to dive deep into, but don't do something or put out content or copy that doesn't make sense for your brand, because that's just going to cause you to have less sales in the long run, because nobody's going to be able to trust your business. Okay. Nobody's going to be able to trust you. So I hope that this was helpful. This was a different version of Hustle Talks than the first two. Please let me know how you like this version. It dropped a lot of gems and it focused more on the good of business, which is typically making money, which is what people always want to teach you how to do, how to make money. But it really gave you real raw insight because I told you what I'm going to be doing and also what works for me. So let me know what you think in the comments, please. Let me know if you want me to do more like this. But what I'm thinking is moving forward with Hustle Talks, I really want to focus on the good, the bad, and the ugly. So we'll rotate between those episodes. And when we have our guests, I'm thinking of something really fun to do with them that will help us, explore the good, bad, and ugly of entrepreneurship with that guest. So get excited because we actually have our first guest coming really, 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 really soon. I hope that this podcast episode was so juicy for you. I hope that you have a page full of notes. Please tag me on your stories as you are watching this, as you're taking notes. I do want to see and repost you. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're not watching this on YouTube, go to YouTube and subscribe and like the video. If you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please go ahead and rate this episode, rate the podcast overall, save it to your library, and tune in every single week on Mondays for a new episode. Okay? And join the Bomb CEO waitlist if you are interested in getting mentored and being in my community. Okay? So I will see y'all in the next episode. Bye.